You knew Howie Roseman was going to make a move at some point, and Howie Roseman has done it again. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Let's get into it here on the program. The breaking news here on this Wednesday afternoon, on this October 29th, about a week to go until the NFL trade deadline, the Birds have traded for cornerback Michael Carter of the New York Jets. Before we fully dive into it and dissect it all, this is why you subscribe to the channel. When breaking news happens, we break it down here on the show. As you can see, we're closing in on 135,000 subscribers. So join the movement, get informed, and hit that sub button right now. Adam Schefter breaking the news not long ago that the Jets are sending cornerback Michael Carter and a 2027 7th-round pick to the Eagles in exchange for wide receiver John Metchie and a 2027 6th-round pick. And so to simplify that tweet, we'll put it into a trade format for you. And here are the official trade details. The Eagles getting a really talented slot corner who they have familiarity with. More on that in a moment. And then these two teams swapping late-round picks for the 2027 draft, not the 2026 draft. And then the Jets getting a wide receiver in John Metchie, who the Eagles haven't really utilized, and they like Darius Cooper a lot. And this is pretty telling here. When you are the defending Super Bowl champions and you're off to, once again, a really good start, 6-2 for the Birds coming off back-to-back highly impressive wins, and you have one of the best defensive coordinators in football, players want to play for you. When you have Jeffrey Lurie as your owner, Howie Roseman as your general manager, Nick Sirianni as your head coach, and you have the culture that you have in place, other teams look at you as a model organization. And that's the case here with Michael Carter II. Ian Rappaport with this information here. Here's how badly Michael Carter wanted to join the champions. Sources say he agreed to delete the $5 million guaranteed for injury in his 2026 contract year to complete the trade to the Philadelphia Eagles. This is also a Howie Roseman type of move here, where he looks at the intricacies and the nuances of that contract to make sure it's a favorable one for the Eagles. And since signing a big contract going into last year, Michael Carter has dealt with some injuries. This year, a concussion issue. And so this was probably an important clause for the Eagles in order to sign off on this trade and make it official. And my reaction with this move, this is a move where the Eagles are bringing in a slot nickel corner. Carter has been used solely as a slot corner throughout his entire career. Now, Cooper DeJean has started to play more on the outside, especially in the Eagles' base defense. Does this signal that DeJean is moving to the outside full-time? So then the Eagles' cornerback trio will be Quinyon Mitchell on one side, Cooper DeJean on the other outside corner spot, and then Michael Carter on the inside. If not, it gives you a really good depth option from that inside behind Cooper DeJean, which right now you don't really have. More on Carter because we always like to give you an informative show here on the program. He played his college football at Duke. He was a 5th-round pick back in 2021. Ended up being a real steal for this Jets organization. 5'10", 184 pounds. Howie Roseman really likes corners who run well. Carter runs well. 4.36 40-yard dash in the pre-draft process, and he's also a very experienced player. He's played in 65 games, including 25 starts. And from that slot spot, he's been able to read and react. He's been able to diagnose plays. He's been able to read his receivers who he's covering mid-route, but also read the eyes of the quarterback. He has good instincts, and the Eagles really value that at the corner spot as well. Quinyon Mitchell had more than 40 pass breakups his last 2 years at Toledo. Eagles took him in the 1st round. Cooper DeJean was a ball hawk who had 7 career interceptions, 3 went back for touchdowns while at Iowa. And for Michael Carter, there's a sample size here. There's proof that he makes plays on the rock. 2021, 5 pass breakups. 2022, 9. 2023, 9. 2024, only 1. And so far this year, he has 2 PBUs. But a change of scenery and going to a better organization can always light the fire, get a player motivated and have that player playing really well. We see this with trade deadline acquisitions across the major sports. And in speaking of Carter's experience playing in the slot, here is his snap alignment every year of his career. So year 1, 11 snaps along the defensive line, 18 in the box, 2 at free safety, 113 in the slot, 1 at outside corner. Year 2, 5 along the defensive line, 20 snaps in the box, 1 at free safety, 252 in the slot, 7 at outside corner. Year 3, 2 snaps along the defensive line, 65 in the box, 4 at free safety, 571 in the slot, 29 at outside corner. 2024, 7 along the defensive line, 56 in the box, 2 at free safety, 662 snaps in the slot, 5 at outside corner. And then so far this year, he's been used more along the defensive line, 17 there, 140 snaps in the box, 1 at free safety, 614 snaps in the slot, 4 slot corner. And so he has had a very heavy workload playing on the inside, not the outside. And what that rounds out to be is this. Chat stats. 85% of Michael Carter's career snaps have been in the slot. So I don't think the Eagles are bringing in a player here who they're going to stick on the outside and say, make it work. Cooper DeJean at Iowa played safety. He played outside corner. He played in the slot. He played everywhere. And so far this year, he started to play a little bit more on the outside. We'll get to that here in a moment. And so that's my thought, is that the Eagles are bringing in Carter to compete for that slot role, and they're thinking about moving DeJean to the outside or at least having more snaps on the outside. How he fared against Justin Jefferson a couple of weeks ago may have given the Eagles a lot of confidence. And this is a good slot corner who the Eagles are bringing in here. And he was a 5th-round pick, as I mentioned. Then the Jets gave him a 3-year, $30.75 million contract last year. So the Eagles are also trading for a player who's under contract through 2027 and is young. Now, he's had some injuries over the last couple of years, concussion problems this year, but the Eagles also have familiarity with the player. The Jets' former general manager, Joe Douglas, used to be the assistant GM under Howie Roseman, played a big role in the scouting department for the Eagles. Well, once he was fired by the Jets, the Eagles brought Joe Douglas back. And so Joe Douglas, I imagine, was in the ear of Howie Roseman saying, this is a really good player. Liked him in the pre-draft. We drafted him. We developed him. We signed him to a new deal because we think he's legit. Going back to DeJean playing on the outside, here's what Vic Fangio had to say. We considered it. But when you have one of the better players at a certain position, and it's an important position where you get involved more, you hate to take a really good player at one position to maybe not be as good of a player or impactful of a player at another position. But it's definitely something that we've talked about. That last line, very interesting. Vic Fangio openly saying yesterday on Tuesday, playing DeJean on the outside is something that we've talked about. And he also added, it's easier to find a slot corner than it is an outside guy. And so when Howie Roseman makes a move, he's always thinking about value. He's always thinking about fit culturally in the locker room. He's thinking about how that player is going to fit with the scheme. The Eagles have familiarity with Michael Carter. They know that he can play at a very high level along the inside. He's also a very good run defender, which is important for slot corners in this defense. That's what Cooper DeJean has done so well. And they also understand that we have a guy in Cooper DeJean who's elite on the inside, can be very good on the outside, maybe end up being elite to the outside. So I think this is a move that just makes the Eagles defense better in the secondary in a more complete fashion. And if anything, it gives you more depth at the nickel spot when you didn't really have it. The Eagles tried to use Mac McWilliams there, but he also got reps on the outside. Perry Nickerson was let go, brought back to the practice squad. He can play inside, outside. Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo are not slot corners. So now you bring in a player in Michael Carter who adds depth, high-level play, and starting experience. And in training camp, the Eagles were also using Cooper DeJean at outside corner as well. Now, the downside of moving Coop to the outside is that he's able to impact the game in so many ways from the nickel spot. He can cover tight ends. He can cover slot wide receivers. He can cover running backs. You can use him as a hybrid linebacker. When you want to use him at that big nickel spot, he can do that. He's an excellent tackler from the slot, and he's so good at going up against the run. When you want to use him on that corner blitz, he's so dangerous there in being able to get after the quarterback. You move him to the outside, and sometimes he's going to be on that island, and he's not able to impact the game in a plethora of ways like he can when he's naturally from that slot spot. Now, you look at DeJean's alignment as far as his snap counts last year, his rookie year, so far this year. I think this is pretty notable here. He's been used at outside corner a lot more this season as compared to last year. And so I think that's something that the Eagles are looking at expanding his role with, is him playing more as a perimeter corner. Now, we have a lot more to get to here on the show, but get those red pens out. I want you to grade the trade for Michael Carter here. A, B, C, D, or F. Share your thoughts with me down in the comment section right now. I always want you to have a voice on this show. And those of you who have watched this show for a long time, you know I love talking football. You know I love the Birds. I've been rooting on this team since I was 4. I've wanted to be a sports broadcaster and cover the Eagles since I was 5 years old. But you also know I have interests outside of being in front of the camera on the microphone. That includes fitness. It includes health and wellness. It includes supplementation. And so we want to bring on and welcome a new sponsor here at Chat Sports, Bubs Naturals. And I love their collagen. Live better longer. And we have a fantastic deal that we want to tell you about if you use our code CHAT. Look, getting older, it can hit you harder than expected. Stiff joints in the morning, recovery from the gym. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Your hair thins out, your nails break, even your skin loses that glow. Well, you start taking Bubs collagen peptides, it's going to solve all of your issues. Aging sucks, but it doesn't have to. Starting in your mid-20s, your collagen production starts to naturally decline in your body. That's where Bubs Naturals collagen peptides comes in. It helps restore collagen levels to what your body naturally had in its youth. So your joints feel stronger, your hair and nails grow healthier, and your skin looks smoother. Look at my beautiful skin here. You can't deny it. Collagen is the most abundant protein and is often referred to as the glue that holds our bodies together. I've noticed less joint pain. My hair and skin is healthier. I bounce back and recover after workouts a lot faster as I'm training for a high rocks competition. And what I like about Bubs, no junk, zero sugar, sweeteners, or fillers, third-party tested, mixes seamlessly. I put it in coffee. It's also sustainably sourced from grass-fed, pasture-raised cattle. So here you go. Live better longer. For a limited time, our listeners are getting 20% off at Bubs Naturals by using our code CHAT at checkout. Just head to bubsnaturals.com, use the code CHAT, and you're all set. After you make your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that Eagles Now and Chase Sr. sent you. You look at Michael Carter's numbers this year. So 145 defensive snaps, a PFF defensive grade of 43, a coverage grade of 37.6, 2 pass breakups. Now you're going to look at those numbers and say, woof, Chase, those are rough. Well, this is a new defensive scheme that the Jets are trying to learn. Aaron Glenn has brought in a completely new defense from Robert Saleh last year and Jeff Ulbrich, who took over as the interim head coach. And so I think Michael Carter has struggled a little bit with that. He's also struggled to stay healthy with some injury problems. And so I wouldn't look at those PFF numbers and say the Eagles are bringing in a bad player. I know from what I've seen, what he's done, and the resume that the Eagles are bringing in a very solid player here for a very good value. They're giving away John Metchie, and they're swapping late-round picks to bring in a starting caliber player. Think about that. You're swapping late-round picks in 2027, and you're trading away John Metchie, who's had 4 catches for 18 yards this year, for a potential starter who is under contract through 2027. And so you think, Chase, why do the Eagles make this trade? We've been talking about how cornerback help is a need that the Eagles need to check off, right? And so you're able to check off that box. You get depth there. You get a starting caliber player with a player under contract for the future. John Metchie really wasn't giving the Eagles much anyway, right? I mean, you think about this Eagles wide receiving rotation. Darius Cooper is ahead of him on the depth chart. That's why he was getting more snaps in that game against the Giants when A.J. Brown was out. And when A.J. Brown was out against the Giants, we did obviously a couple of videos about that injury news. People were saying, don't forget about John Metchie. Don't forget about John Metchie. I like the player, and I liked him at Alabama. I think his ACL has impacted his speed a little bit. Unfortunately, he had the leukemia diagnosis as a rookie, and so his career has been set back. I'm still a believer in him, but on this team, Eagles are pretty deep at wideout. Devontae Smith is having a career year. A.J. Brown is a stud. You have Dallas Goedert, who's having a career year. You're trying to get Saquon Barkley involved. There really wasn't a role for John Metchie, and if it requires the Eagles to trade away Metchie for a starting caliber player, you make that move every single day. Now, I would not be surprised if the Eagles make another move. Is Howie Roseman done? I think that he could add a pass rusher to this team as well. That's also what this move gives you, is the flexibility to trade for a pass rusher. You're swapping late round picks in 2027. You have 3 third-round picks that you can use at your disposal. You have a 4th. You have a couple of 5ths. You have some valuable compensatory picks, right? And obviously the Eagles aren't awarded those yet, but you know you have those in the chamber, locked and loaded, ready to go. And so by trading for Carter, swapping late round picks, and trading away John Metchie, you used a player asset to bring in Carter. Now you have premium draft assets that you can use at your disposal if you also want to trade for a pass rusher. Don't forget to give me a follow on X and Instagram, by the way, at Chase_Senior. I'm always talking Eagles here on YouTube, but I'm also giving you so much more Eagles content on my social media pages as well.